Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for December 27th through 31st, 2021. The last week of this epic year, and this last week of this epic year of astrology is like a grand finale of fireworks going off. And this has to do with Mars. Mars, our warrior, our masculine planet, ruling the will force and action, is just coming off of an exact trine with Chiron and into an exact sextile with Saturn and an in conjunct relationship with Uranus, meaning interacting with the Saturn square Uranus, this epic astrology of 2021, the third and final exact square of these planets happening through the 29th. So really powerful energy, because this grand finale is like Mars coming in. So there's this square, and squares are about tension. It's about you can't keep going the way you are going, and it's pressure to change and grow and shift. Saturn in Aquarius, it's about how are we building this new world? What is the age of Aquarius? What are the laws? What are the rules? And then, so that square is about coming up against the wall and not being able to move and do it the same way we've always done things. And with Saturn and Uranus involved, it's this energy of why are we not seeing the manifest changes in our physical world that correlate with the energetic shifts and changes we've all felt. Now, this is a really intense time, and this coming out of this eclipse season and this astrology and this timing, 1 year exact from that greater conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. Jupiter preparing to move over the shift of ages point, and this third and final Saturn square Uranus. And so that Saturn square Uranus, the pressure for our world to more accurately represent who we really are energetically and where we're going in the Aquarian Age. So with Uranus and Taurus, it's speaking to this wealth revolution. And we've talked about how supernova souls were laden with wealth of intuition, power that we've developed over many lifetimes as advanced souls. But the wealth of the world that is so desperately needing to come back, the true wealth, has to do with the feminine and the divine feminine, and bringing care and love back into our world. We cannot go forward into the Aquarian Age until we have this major adjustment where we go one, we go all, we know we're all connected. So we're going to get more and more energetically sensitive and more empathic. So we better clean our world up, because if we don't, it's going to hurt. And you've already been experiencing this, supernova soul. This is part of why this last couple of years, or who knows how long for you lifetimes, it's been really hard, because you feel the collective energy. The more and more work we do spiritually, the more sensitive we become. And so those of us that are on the cutting edge of spiritual ascension and doing our spiritual work and becoming, stepping into these 5D energies, there becomes that time where it gets excruciatingly painful. That really has to do with the fourth dimensional energies. And so the fourth dimensional energies they're like a place we visit on the way to 5D. And so this is the whole energy of this time, is like this square, and Mars, the warrior, activating this square at the same time as Jupiter's moving over that shift of ages point, at the same time that Mercury and Venus and Pluto are stationed together in Capricorn. It's an incredibly powerful time. This Mars interacting with Saturn square Uranus is like a motor. It's like an angular relationship coming into this square, trying to turn the wheel. And indeed, that's energy we really could use. It's like we've been stuck in this status quo for so long. And this is how the control energies have kept us. as continuing to be slaves, is this continual loop of time where we just continue to go play out the same patterns again and again. So this time of year, what is called the 12 Holy Nights, between the birth of Jesus and the incarnation of Christ consciousness on Epiphany, represented on Epiphany, January 6th, January 7th, these holy nights are really powerful, where the veil is thin, where it's like we're in between time. It's where we have an opportunity to pray and meditate and gain clarity about the year that we're leaving behind and the new year to come. And contemplating this all along with the archetypal patterns of astrology and the soul journey of humanity represented in these archetypes. And the soul journey from the purity of being one with source energy, coming into a physical evolution in a body, going through our lifetimes, all to get back to that union again with source, but with our consciousness, our full consciousness, which is the activation of our light body and the incarnation of our Christ body. So this time of year gives us a really powerful opportunity, because this is exactly where we're at, in like a bookend type place. That astrology is clearly saying, hey, end of the chapter. End of the chapter. And this is for 2021, but it's also like a 20-year cycle, represented by that Saturn conjunct Jupiter. They come together every 20 years. We've got a 200-year cycle, because that greater conjunction of those planets moved from Earth signs to air signs, bringing in an energy of a new renaissance. So this particular holy night period is incredibly powerful for supernova souls to get oriented and literally jump timelines, literally move into absolutely establishing in that 5D energy. So that's why I'm doing the Holy Nights of Peace meditations, and these you can find on the Telegram channel, Adrienne Lee's Telegram channel. The links to that are below, so you can go follow along and do these 12 nights. And if you're late getting to it, don't worry about it. You can just still do it in the 12-night order, or whatever speaks to you. But it's an opportunity to examine the archetypes of each astrological sign, representing the soul journey of man from one to source, and then coming back to source through this whole evolution. So very powerful meditation as we sit in this time, in between time. Now, a big reason we're feeling this kind of weird, airy energy, it always happens at this time of year. And it's represented energetically by what happens with the Earth and the Sun in the Northern Hemisphere, but also the Southern Hemisphere, the solstice period of time, where in the Northern Hemisphere, we have our darkest days. And as we come out of those darkest days, that's when we can absolutely recapitulate our whole life and sort through what's no longer serving us, and prepare very consciously for the year ahead. And this could be so helpful for supernova souls right now. So I hope you'll join me, and there's a chat there. So it's great to share about your experiences in these themes that come through based on the indications of Rudolf Steiner around these holy night meditations. So check that out. The links are below. So this is so incredibly powerful, because Mars is coming into this Saturn square Uranus, which is speaking to a wealth revolution. We got to take care of ourselves. We've got, like recognizing the true wealth of this world isn't numbers, zeros and ones in a bank account. And so all of that is up for review in our whole, everything in this astrology speaks to this shift into the Aquarian age. So Saturn square Uranus were together exact. We were already feeling it this time last year. We felt it in January. They came together exact in February, and then in June. And this is the third and final exact. And pretty powerful that it's at 11 degrees. So Saturn at 11 degrees Aquarius, Uranus at 11 degrees Taurus, an exact square for the third and final time, speaking to the generational, energetic Earth vibrational changes that are required for the Aquarian age. And are we going to see them, or are we just going to stay in between in this weird, stagnant, artificial matrix reality? And so we can use that time out of time to move forward our timeline into a whole different reality, whole different way of working with time. So that's why this time of year, particularly this time of year, this year, is so incredibly powerful. So when Mars comes into this square, Mars is about action and making things happen and movement and will force and drive. So Mars coming in a sextile relationship. So the square is about tension, tension, tension. You're stuck, can't keep going the way you're going, right? And then, but Mars comes in at this angular relationship. And it's kind of like the spoke on the wheel and turning the tide. And Mars has just been in this trine with Chiron about this surge of life force. Chiron in Aries is the wounds around where we've given our power away, where we've given away our life force, where we've played the games, and we forgot or became programmed with fear about our own power and allowed it to be, manipulated away from us. And so the Chiron and energy, Chiron has just turned direct. So it's got this like surge of energy. And then Mars and Sagittarius in trine, Mars is the ruler of Aries. And so in trine to Chiron and Aries, it's just like fire, and then with the 11-degree square and the 11-degree angles, it's like 11 is a number of war. It's about a facing off. It's about facing what we haven't been able to face in order to overcome like duality consciousness, those two pillars. And can we dance in that area in between? And so 11 is an interesting number because it is that standing off and this overcoming duality consciousness, but it's also about building a whole new reality, like a portal. And so it's exactly this astrology. And our new world is a very different relationship to time. And there's a bunch of baggage that we can't take with us. So that's everything that's getting resolved. So, but that Mars energy, and Mars and Sagittarius is about the bigger vision. It's about the epic journey. It's about the hero's journey. And so coming into the square, it's a feeling of like, we can do this. We can do this. We can make it to the top of the mountain. We've already won. We can do this. This huge surge of life force. Like with Chiron in Aries energy, it's that life or death type energy. And it's that fight, that last surge of power to save your life. And that's exactly what we're doing. Humanity doesn't even realize it, most of humanity, but we're in the end game of saving humanity from artificial slavery of artificial intelligence. And so it's a powerful energy, how the stars are just speaking to us so strongly. And we can use this surge of energy along with this time in between time and powerful combination of astrological transits to kind of almost like I'm seeing this being squeezed out of a tube, shot off in a rocket or cannon or something. Using this pressure to just absolutely let go of the whole 3D way of existing on any level and just really stepping in. And so that's why this time of year is so helpful this year as well, because now that the holidays, it's like there's so much activity to distract us from these sacred days. And but now there might be more time for you to go within and really take this advantage. And that's the only place that we can really leave behind and figure out, sort through our energies, right? We've got to make space for ourselves to be in this sacred place, to identify with spirit. That's what we have an opportunity to do in these times. So this is super coming up because we've got the sun coming into exact square with Chiron. So Mars in trine, sun in square, and then Mars coming into interaction with that Saturn square Uranus. So this is huge because our sun is who do you think you are? It's our identity. square Chiron and Aries, it's our woundedness of, like we said, where we gave our power away, our life force away, where we were killed for our power. And so this is an identity crisis. The sun in Capricorn, speaking to our relationship to rules and laws and structure and reality and the Father and time. And then in square to this Chiron in Aries, this surge of power that's being activated by Mars. And so it's like, this is why this time going within is so powerful, because this sun square Chiron is like, who are you? If you really did go through all that, if you really do have these stories, if you really did these stories that are all neat, have been so much to let go and resolve. But if that all really happened, if that's all real, then you are one powerful motherfucker, you know, like, and owning your identity. But you have to go into the cave. You have to go into into that place of inwardness to be able to sit with this identity that you chose to complete in this lifetime, to come to light body, to go back to source, but with your full consciousness. And so it's kind of like a commitment energy. You know, it's do or die. Are you on the train? Are you off the train? Right? And it's speaking to spiritual ascension very powerfully, and that we need an identity crisis, an ego death, in order to fully surrender. You know, you come to those times in your life where everything all of a sudden starts to fall away, and it's like nothing that you thought you were doing, and then all the situations don't fit who you are anymore. This is kind of the energy. And it almost feels like, okay, you're forging ahead and letting these things resolve and dissolve out of your life that are no longer working. And at some point you see, it's like you can look behind you and it drops off into space. Like there's no going back, you know, and this is where we're at. It's like a full commitment, full throttle on the train. We're here for ascension. We know this. And now we're going to go use this powerful spiritual cosmic time to go within and validate and revalidate and this, our spiritual self, what we're really here for. So that's really powerful. And in addition, we've got this really intense conjunction. Venus and Pluto have been together all month. We don't even know what it's like not to have Venus and Pluto together, and they're exact still here. And Mercury is in the mix. Mercury, Venus, and Pluto. And this is exact on the 29th. And the Venus-Mercury conjunction. And on that day, it's such a powerful day, because on that day is when Mercury goes into retrograde shadow. So we've got Venus retrograde right now. And it's like, oh, with Pluto and it's like our inner vulnerabilities. So we've got this Mars warrior activation, but then Pluto is retreating. You know, I mean, Venus is retreating. The feminine is retreating, going within again, and wounded, vulnerable, not in a place of strength to be able to face what she needs to face with Pluto. And that's this Venus retrograde. It's like, wait a minute, I got to go sort through all this stuff. I'm going to get, and then she's, you know, gathering her army to come back. And at the end, so turns direct at the end of January. And then it's not till the end of February, beginning of March, that she comes out of retrograde shadow. And that's when she'll be hanging out with Pluto. So there will be a powerful culmination energy there at the end of February, beginning of March. But it's really intense because Mercury is taking a retrograde as well. So the Mercury retrograde starts on the 14th of January. And like I said, it goes into retrograde shadow here on the 29th. So we'll already be feeling it, especially since Venus is already retrograde. So it's not a time to get a lot done or to know what in the F you're doing or going, or, you know, like it's not going to be a time to be able to really get a lot of clarity, because we're in such a shifting time. It's that train in the roundhouse, you know, and you don't want to shoot off in any one certain direction right now, because you got to get oriented. It's a complete turnaround. This complete turnaround is the whole month of January, really, while Venus is retrograde. Because the nodes of the moon, well, we'll be feeling that Saturn square Uranus all the way until the 19th of January. That's the influence, and then it's done. So a full year of that influence of this, stubborn energy around the changes in our world that represent the energetic changes of our increased frequency vibration. And so that's really powerful, because on the 19th of January also is when the nodes switch signs. So the nodes for almost 2 years, little less than 2 years, have been in North Node Gemini, South Node Sag. And so that is a massive shift. And so that whole rearranging, now they're fixed signs, moving into the fixed signs, which is Taurus, North Node Taurus, South Node Scorpio. So it's going to be a very different energy, and we will have more clarity. We will have more direction. But while that change is happening, it's really confusing. So don't try to figure out your life until the end of January. Chinese New Year might be a better time for that. But then we will be getting more and more clarity as Mercury comes out of retrograde shadow. Like I said, Mercury turns retrograde on the 14th of January at 10 degrees Aquarius, retrogrades back into Capricorn, turning direct at 24 degrees Capricorn on February 4th. So, and then it will come out of retrograde shadow at the end of February. So that's when we're really going to start being able to get our head above the water of what in the heck is going on with these retrograde season, coming right off of eclipse season with these massive, epic astrological fireworks of events here at this end of the year. Because, like I said, that 29th energy is when Mercury and Venus are exact conjunction there with Pluto in Capricorn. It's one day after the Jupiter moves over into Pisces. And then it is when Mars interacts with the Saturn square Uranus exact at 11 degrees. And so that is a lot of things happening all at once. And on that day, on the 29th, and this is going to be in the morning in Mountain Time Zone. And so I'm going to look for a live video then, Q&A, or we'll talk through the energies or something, meditation, because it's a really powerful moment, because the moon is in Scorpio, and that means that the moon will be forming a T-square with the Saturn-Uranus square and Mars in the mix of that too. So Mars is in Sagittarius, the moon will be in Scorpio, one sign apart, bringing another angle into the mix. And so that's kind of this main finale fireworks energy, and Jupiter passing over into Pisces. And so that's a really powerful energy. And then that's setting the tone of what the 2022 astrology is about. And the 2022 astrology is really wild because it's all about reconciling these retrogrades that happen right at the beginning of the year. Because Mercury and Venus are together right now, and they will be feeling the influence of their conjunction through the end of the year. But Mercury and Venus tend to stay close to the sun. But because of these retrogrades, it's putting them in totally off cycle. And they won't come back together. So it's like they're in council right now, but then they both have their retrograde journey. And then they don't come back together until November, the second half of November 2022. So Thanksgiving time. And at that time, they move over into Sagittarius together, and they stay together for almost 2 weeks, very close. So we're not going to get, what's going down is that this is about Pluto being here during this conjunction, is about breaking down what's in between our heart and our mind, right? Mercury, the messenger, our ideas, perceptions, and it's like he's trying to listen to the feminine, trying to listen to Venus, trying to hear her, but she's crying too much. can't understand her words because she's so upset because she went to go face off with Pluto and she thought she was representing a movement, and she turned around to find herself completely abandoned yet again, going up against the man and the authority, and she's exhausted and she's weakened and she's confused and she's vulnerable and she's insecure, and she's insecure of her power. So this retrograde is about taking back her power. But she doesn't come back into council with the mind until November 2022. So I wonder if that's really when these energies are going to resolve. It's kind of crazy. It's like, wait a minute, we're just starting the year and you're saying it's going to be a whole nother year until this. I don't know. It makes 2022 very confusing energy. So we'll explore that together. But that 29th is really powerful with the moon coming into that T-square and activating that 11-degree mark for all these planets. Saturn at 11 degrees Aquarius, Uranus 11 degrees Taurus, Mars 11 degrees Sagittarius, and the moon at 11 degrees Scorpio. So we're coming up on one of the bookends energies of this particular week. This astrology of this week is going to be the new moon in Capricorn on January 2nd. And that happens on the 2nd, 12 degrees, 20 minutes Capricorn. So all of these twos, 222, just like 2022. So this is really powerful. This new moon in Capricorn, it's a new start for our, it feels like a new start for our need for external authority and taking back our power, because we are at the edge. Humanity has to stand up in their sovereignty and come out from under all the manipulative agendas of the other races that have been controlling humanity and really stand up and claim. And it's almost that energy of, this goes with the Venus retrograde and Pluto conjunction too. It's like, oh yeah, so you want to go break free, you're negotiating your freedom, right? And then it's like, oh yeah, sure. Well, you're not going to be safe out there. You need our protection and you're not going to be okay. And how do we even know how to exist, to say, if we've had a whole lifetime of psychological handler type energies all around us? How do we know how do we know how to be free? How do the Israelites, they had to make commandments to understand how to be free. It's Stockholm syndrome, where the gates are open, but the sheep don't really want to go out because they're safer in the pen. Feels more comfortable. They're just used to it. And that's not us, right? Supernova souls, not going to be comfortable there. You're so much bigger and you're bursting at the seams. And this astrology is our opportunity to step right out of this matrix, ill-fitting clothing, this reality that is so confining to supernova souls. And for humanity, stand up and in our intention, claim this sovereignty, this autonomy, and breaking all contracts. This is a big thing with the Venus-Pluto conjunction. It's just like, all right. But then she goes retrograde. So it's a weird thing. It's like, so that makes this period of time, as that transit comes off at the end of the year, through when Venus comes back into conjunction with Pluto, which will be right there at the end of February. Probably second half of February, we'll be feeling that. Or maybe the last week of February. And so that's going to be the empowerment phase. And Mercury bringing gusto to that, turning direct with Pluto at on the 4th of February. So it will be coming out of retrograde shadow then. Venus, yeah. So Venus comes out of retrograde shadow and into that conjunction the last week of February. And the earlier in February is when Mercury will turn direct and have its conjunction with Pluto. So this Mercury-Venus-Pluto conjunction is like the beginning of a story that's playing out. And it will be of an empowerment energy at the end of February, early March. But then it really doesn't super all the way resolve until November 2022. So here we are. And just make sure to use this time, this in-between time, this mystical time, and especially Jupiter moving over that for the third and final time over the shift of ages point between Aquarius and Pisces. So this massive bloom right now for the next couple of days of this Aquarius energy. And that is so interesting with this Saturn square Uranus and Mars, the motor coming in and being like, let's do this, let's go. This is like the thrust engine, you know. We're learning that there is free energy just as free energy. Energy is everywhere in the air. We've just been manipulated to think that we need to put it through wires and be charged for it. The energy that is available to us in the air, that feminine form of electricity, is based on perpetual motion. This is our heartbeat. We don't ever really think through this. Like, how does our heartbeat just keep going, right? And so there is a necessary part, though, of the perpetual motion, ongoing electricity, free energy. There has to be an initial spark to get that started, the motor. And that's like conception for the human body and getting that heart building and heartbeat. It's like that energy coming together. That's that thrust. And we're feeling that right now with Mars coming into the square. So it's like an opportunity to activate our own free energy in our energetic field. So again, it's perfect time to come together, meditate and pray and ponder, contemplate these concepts of the journey of the human soul through evolution from the beginning of Adam and Eve representing the pure humanity, just directly connected to source, going along its path and finding its way back to source and into full activation of that Christ consciousness. So that's what we're contemplating and exploring in those holy nights of peace meditations. So I hope to see you there on Telegram. So those meditations are posted on the Adrienne Louise Telegram wall, the recording. So you can just go back and take it, one night at a time if you want, or you can do them closer together. But a 12-night meditation designed to contemplate this energy. So thank you for joining and being together with us, Supernova Souls, and really powerful energy of this last week of the month, last week of the year, last week of the lower matrix, quarantine, slavery energy, and moving over into the new. So using this time in between, the time in between, to be outside of time, to claim a more ideal timeline, and to completely release everything that's no longer serving as we step through together into this whole other way of being. So it's going to be a beautiful journey. I don't know if we're going to see the changes in the world that we're all been waiting on. This energy is definitely pushing for more disclosure. But with this resolution not happening until next fall, it might be that we're in this in-between time where these timelines are both existing. Our 5D co-creation timeline and the 3D matrix. And then it's like there's a rainbow bridge for humanity to decide if they want to come on over and go on their train ride. But regardless of what happens in the whole picture and those timelines and all this, we know, Supernova Souls, that it's our time to begin to build and to get on with it and to live and breathe the world that we want to see. So this next phase, whatever's going on with the masses and the regular normie life and the television, whatever the television is saying, that's inconsequential to our journey. This is the fun part. And so a big part of this recapitulation period of time here at this end of the year is preparing for the joy. Like, okay, so maybe we're not going to see the big shifts we all want to see, but it's going to be more fun. It's going to be more supported. It's going to be more directed. We're coming together to get to work on these projects. And so we just have to focus on that and how beautiful this co-creation energy is, and actually being, so this year is a very different energy. Like, it's about being supported in who you are as a powerful light being, light worker here on the earth, and having things start to work out again finally, and us coming together and having beautiful experiences, regardless of what the masses need to experience any further. It's not our problem. So really powerful energies. Look out for a new moon activation for on that January 2nd, and also powerful day on the 29th. So look for a live stream on that day as well here on Wednesday. So thank you so much for being here on Earth, gone through all you've gone through, and use this empowerment time to jump right out of that any inappropriate timelines or energies, and establish completely in the moon as we go through this keyhole turn in our reality, and have the opportunity to kind of jump ship onto that ascension train. So thanks for your service, and I look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully on those holy night meditations, holy nights of peace. So we'll see you there. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.